It's 11 p.m. and these are the headlines. The first ministerial conference of the Africa-Russia Partnership Forum kicked off today in Sochi, Russia, with Algeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs Ahmed Attaf in attendance. On the sidelines, the minister engaged in bilateral talks with South African counterparts. Ali Moulay was officially installed as the new Wali of Tipaza today during a ceremony led by Minister of Interior, Local Authorities and Regional Planning Brahim Murad, who took the opportunity to reaffirm the President of the Republic's commitment to prioritizing the needs of citizens. Disturbing reports from a Belgian news site expose harsh prison conditions in Morocco, sparking public outrage amid broader social unrest in the country. And the Algerian Cultural Center in Paris hosts a ceremony commemorating the 70th anniversary of Algeria's independence revolution with the cinematic tributes by notable figures. Tasked by the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, the Foreign Affairs Minister Ahmed Attaf is taking part in Sochi in the proceedings of the first ministerial conference of Russia-Africa Partnership Forum beginning today and extending into tomorrow. The meeting is a follow-up to the resolutions from the first and second Africa-Russia Partnership summits, focusing on strengthening the cooperation across key areas. And on the sidelines of this meeting, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Committee of Ahmed Attaf had bilateral talks with several of his African counterparts, including the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Cooperation and Mauritania's Abroad of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, Mohamed Merzouk, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Gideon Timotheos, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Cooperation of Burkina Faso, Jean-Marie Karamokou Traoré, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Cooperation of Benin, Olusegun Ajadi Bakari. The meetings reviewed bilateral cooperation and partnership relations and discussed ways to promote them, as well as several files and issues of common interest. The Minister of Interior, Local Authorities and Regional Planning, Brahim Murad, officially appointed today Ali Moulay as the new Wali of Tipaza. The installation ceremony was held at the headquarters of the province of Tipaza, with local elected officials in attendance. During the ceremony, Minister Murad emphasized President Abdelmajid Tebboune's commitment to prioritizing citizens' welfare, highlighting that the government is providing all necessary resources to address citizens' concerns effectively. Let's have a listen to the Minister of Interior, Local Authorities and Regional Planning, Brahim Murad.
بالنسبة للساحل راكم تعرفوا سياسة السيد رئيس الجمهورية.
The policy of the President of the Republic is clear regarding the coastal regions. Water security must be ensured at any cost. Soon, 19 seawater desalination stations will be operational. In addition to water security, the President of the Republic is also committed to ensuring food security for the citizens.
And a group of intellectuals and artists recently came together in an artistic event to express solidarity with the Sahrawi people's fight for self-determination. This gathering served as an urgent call to amplify voices of those advocating for justice, with participants delivering a clear message to draw attention to the ongoing struggle for the Sahrawi cause.
Conveying messages through art, this is how these artists have chosen to support the Sahrawi cause. This artistic space has seen a massive participation of intellectuals and artists, objective to break the silence and lift the blackout on the Sahrawi cause.
Each artist came to show their solidarity with the Sahrawi people through a painting or a drawing. We also have what's called memory boxes, which trace the time when the Sahrawi people were waiting for the organization of the referendum for self-determination and independence since 1992.
In Western Sahara, the human rights situation remains worrying and international solidarity is increasing. Artists of different nationalities have mobilized to support this population by drawing portraits of their missing relatives.
The whole world must know that the Sahrawi people have been under illegal military occupation since 1975, and they have been waiting for the organization of the referendum for self-determination and independence since 1992. It is very important that all nations support the Sahrawi cause. For example, in Spain, the people are aware of the atrocities committed by the Moroccan occupier against the Sahrawi people. This cause must be increasingly internationalized, especially in Europe.
An artistic space that represents a symbol of solidarity with the Sahrawi people. It also offers an opportunity for committed art that defends the rights of people to freedom and independence.
And amid rising global support for the Sahrawi cause, Morocco's Mahsen regime is facing mounting international backlash. A series of explosive reports have uncovered alliances between Morocco and Western powers, revealing shocking agreements plundering Western Sahara's vast resources. These revelations expose not only flagrant disregard for its sovereignty, but also deepen the suffering of its people. And Jahtayar explains.
A recent article titled Western Sahara and the Altar French Imperialism, published on a French website, accuses France of siding with Morocco's ruling regime at the expense of the Sahrawi people. The author criticizes France's motives, claiming that it seeks to secure economic advantages by gaining access to the resources of Western Sahara. The author further denounces recent comments made by the French president, viewing them as reflection of an alliance that has become both disgraceful and morally troubling. According to the article, this alliance places France in a position that disregards the Sahrawi rights. In contrast, the president of the National Assembly of Venezuela expressed his unwavering support for the Sahrawi people's right to self-determination. However, Moroccan aggression toward the Sahrawi people continues. Sahrawi associations, along with human rights organizations, have made an urgent appeal to the United Nations to protect the Sahrawi children in the occupied territories, calling for an investigation into violations of their rights.
And Moroccan social media has erupted in outrage over a visit by Moroccan journalists to the Zionist entity, which began on Monday. Critics are condemning the trip as an act of media normalization and a crime in every sense. The Palestinian Journalist Forum issued a forceful statement condemning the visit, urging strict sanctions against the delegation members, including their expulsion from both the Professional Union and the General Union of Arab Journalists. Disturbing accounts from Moroccan jails continue to fuel global outrage. A recent article on the Belgian news site Between Lines features the gripping testimony of Ali Aras, a writer and political activist who was imprisoned for 10 years without trial. His story uncovers the brutal conditions faced by prisoners in Morocco's detention centers, bringing urgent attention to widespread human rights abuses and igniting international calls for reform and justice. Banya Al-Bahri reports.
The latest reports on the inhumane conditions of detention of prisoners of opinion who are in Moroccan prisons are multiplying. The Belgian news site Ontlilini has returned to the inhumane treatment of the Mahsen regime to the detainees. The article, which retraces the ordeal of Ali Aras, a Moroccan writer and opponent imprisoned on the basis of false information from the Moroccan secret services. In an article published under the title Morocco Seen from its Prisons, the newspaper highlights the book Testimony, a critical voice of the Mahsen regime, a moving testimony which tells us a lot about the nature of regime and power in Morocco. Ali Aras spent 10 years in Moroccan prisons for criticizing the bloody repression of the revolt of bread and dignity in the Moroccan Reef. The newspaper returned to the long ordeal experienced by Ali Aras in the various Moroccan prisons, where many suspects of terrorism, Sahrawi resistance fighters, and Moroccan protesters are mistreated.
If you take a look from the tiny window, you see that the prisoners are savagely hit and then dragged to their cells without mercy.
The article tells us how the detainees, men and women, are living in an inhumane condition, suffering from lack of food, cold and isolation, while undergoing classic forms of torture during ultra-violent interrogations. The situation of prisoners arbitrarily detained in Moroccan prisons has been denounced repeatedly in several reports published by human rights organizations that protest against the flagrant violation of international law.
Morocco's Barzani regime is teetering on the edge as widespread protests continue to sweep the country. Economic indicators are falling and analysts warn that a social explosion could be imminent, fueled by rising inequalities. Meanwhile, opposition groups allege that hundreds of billions of dirhams are systematically embezzled every year, and the calls for reforms are growing louder. Najat Tayyar explains.
Alongside a deepening social crisis, the Barzani now faces one of the toughest economic challenges it has ever encountered. A sharp decline in agricultural output combined with a nearly 5% drop in tourism revenue due to the drought. This has severely affected the Moroccan economy, leading to an unprecedented slowdown. This situation has been worsened by the government's inconsistent and impulsive policies, along with rising international prices for wheat and energy, upon which Morocco is heavily reliant. As a result, Morocco now faces a trade deficit nearing 36%, amounting to approximately 40.23 billion dirhams, or over $4 billion. During the same period last year, the trade deficit was 29.62 billion dirhams. This new situation is largely driven by the sustained rise in imports. In just 8 months, Morocco's energy bill surged by 128.3%, reaching 103 billion dirhams, or nearly $10 billion. This dramatic increase has placed additional strain on the country's economy. The absence of a responsive Barzani only adds to the growing social tensions, leaving the population increasingly frustrated and in turmoil. And these figures are likely to deepen the sense of disarray among citizens and fuel further unrest.
The 9th International Congress for the Association of North African Cardiologists and Diabetologists (ICDM) concluded yesterday in Oman. The Congress addressed key challenges related to cardiometabolic diseases, with specialists discussing advancements in diagnosis and treatment, in particular for North African populations. And to mark the 70th anniversary of the 1st of November 1954, the outbreak of the Algerian Liberation Revolution, the Algerian Cultural Center in Paris hosted a special event featuring Ahmed Bijawi, a well-known producer, writer and figure in Algerian cinema, who was invited to choose and present a selection of films celebrating Algeria's film history and reflecting on the country's revolutionary past and the impact of its fight for independence. That was it for today's news. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.